Hello everyone, how are you today? It's Makeda Valletta, also known as the Body Scientist. And before I get started, I'm just going to give you all a couple of minutes to come on. In case you are unfamiliar with me, well, I'm recording this live on my IG page, which is @_body_scientist. And I'm going to save it and repost it to my YouTube page, The Body Scientist 81. So if you're on YouTube and you don't follow me on IG, be sure to follow me on IG. And if you're on IG and you don't follow me on YouTube, be sure to follow me on YouTube, okay? Those of you who are unfamiliar with me and my background, I have a degree in exercise and sports science and nutrition science. And then I did a couple of years of graduate school at Teachers College at Columbia University in nutrition education and applied physiology. But before I got into the nutrition science and exercise physiology, I was a biotechnology major. And I wanted to get a PhD in biotechnology and research cures for genetic diseases, okay? I've also been interested in infectious diseases since the 90s, okay? And I have many videos where I'm talking about immune systems and infectious disease and stuff like that you can find on my YouTube page, The Body Scientist 81. However, because I do have that background in academia, the reason why I decided not to become a registered dietitian and work in the hospitals is because I didn't want to have to lie to people, okay? If registered dietitians, just like RDs, just like MDs, the MDs have to go by everything that the American Medical Association says, and the RDs has to go by everything that the American Dietetic Association says. You have the ADA and the AMA, okay? A lot of people talk about doctors being confused and causing harm and not knowing what they're doing, but the same can be said for a lot of dietitians, okay? Because the nutrition students in this country are educated by the food companies. The food companies fund their programs. The medical students in this country, their programs are funded by the drug companies, okay? And really, the food and the drug companies are the same people. You have the Food and Drug Administration, right? Which they don't do what you think. The FDA does not research. When something is FDA approved, it doesn't mean that the FDA did studies on it to prove it was safe. That's not what that means. The FDA doesn't even study anything, okay? If you want to come out with a product, whether it be a supplement, a drug, you yourself do your own research on your own product and submit it to the FDA for their approval. Now, that's very biased. If you're researching your own, that's like what people say about the police. You know, the police do wrong and they're researching each other. You need an outside organization, you know, that's disconnected from you to look at the facts. You don't do that for yourself. You know, that's very biased, okay? So there's a lot of biases with the FDA. Don't trust those. I don't trust those organizations. I've been saying for a long time, the American Heart Association, the American Cancer Society, everything they tell you to do to prevent heart disease and prevent cancer actually causes heart disease and cancer, okay? This is the reason why I don't let my parents go to the doctor or the hospital without me, because I'm gonna do another video about this tomorrow because I actually have something to do, so I'm gonna get to the point of what this video is about, but I just had to give my background so you understand who I am and where I'm coming from, okay? So today I want to talk about the problem with vaccines, okay? If you haven't seen other videos I've done about the microbiome, you're welcome. I'm glad you learned something. If you learned something from this video, please share it, okay? Please like it and please share it, because the people that get all of the attention and views are the ones who are promoting the lies, okay? It's very, very deep. And I have a whole nother video to do about that tomorrow. But anyhow, so the problem with vaccines, okay? one thing that I've noticed being a health science person and just being into science my whole entire adult life, you know, growing up, everything like that. What I have noticed, okay, is that there are no shortcuts in nature, okay? When we think that we can bypass nature, like not give a baby its mother's breast milk, but oh, we're gonna give you a formula that was made in the lab. There's no way that that's better, you know? The artificial lab versions is not the building blocks that that baby really needs. So then that baby doesn't grow, it doesn't reach its full genetic potential, okay? May be shorter than they're supposed to be, may have different health problems, may have developmental issues because they didn't have that, okay? So there's endless examples, okay? I just feel like when you try to bypass nature, it backfires on you, okay? So when you talk about vaccines, the whole idea of a vaccine is to introduce, in theory, someone to antigens from that virus or whatever, or bacteria, and elicit an immune response, right, against it and make you immune. Now, when you naturally come in contact with infectious organisms, be it bacteria or viruses, your body will naturally go through that, okay, and produce antibodies and other things, which I'm going to talk about in this discussion, that also creates immunity. And a lot of times it's longer lasting, okay? So with the vaccines, there's a number of issues with introducing it that way, all right? So, and also, I've talked about in many of my videos when I talk about the microbiome, and I talk about, you know, why I don't use, you know, artificial hand sanitizers, and I talk about the importance of, you know, like maintaining the bacteria in your gut and your skin, vaginas, all of that. That's our first line against infectious disease is good bacteria. We must guard our microbiomes. If you haven't seen my videos on those topics, definitely take a look at it. I will try to post some of them below on my YouTube channel as well. But because of the overuse of antibiotics by the medical industry and herbicides and pesticides and antibiotics by the commercial food industry, there are endless amounts of antibiotic-resistant bacteria. It causes the bacteria to mutate. It creates super strains, and it creates super strains that the antibiotics don't even work against anymore. Okay, and this has been known, like in the 90s. In 1999, the Museum of Natural History in New York City had an exhibit about the problem on the planet with antibiotic-resistant bacteria and antiviral-resistant viruses. Okay, because of the overuse of these antiviral medications and antibacterial medications and agents that cause them to mutate and create super strains, okay? I've known this since 97, all right? Okay, so this is not new information, all right? And it's the food industry and the hospitals, the doctors, the drug companies that contribute to that. What did I say again? The food and the drug companies are the same people. Get sick off the food, now you can take our drugs. This shit really is like a cartoon, like cartoons where you have an evil villain who's trying to take over the world. That's really what these drug and food companies are, okay? They give more money to politicians than anybody else. The food industry gives more money to politicians than the drug companies do. And again, they're the same people though, really, okay? So, all right. So there are plenty of antiviral resistant viruses right now that don't respond to vaccines. Vaccines that have been given, there are viruses right now that aren't even responding to it anymore because of the overuse of these antiviral medications and vaccines, okay? So the medical community, when they see that happen, what they decide to do is, we're going to double dose. We're going to give a double dose of this vaccine or antiviral medication or antibiotic, and there's still no response, and it just creates these super strains, okay? Also, there are skyrocketing rates of chronic disease, and they're directly linked to the drop of acute infectious diseases, right, which train the immune system, okay? So we have acute diseases and chronic diseases. Acute is you get a cold, you have a stuffy nose, your nose is running, you're coughing, you're sneezing, you know, for a few days, and then you're better. A chronic disease is somebody that has irritable bowel syndrome. You know what I'm saying? Their intestines are all messed up all the time. They got digestive issues. They got, acid reflux all the time, or they have reoccurring yeast infections or arthritis. I don't know. Chronic is something that you just keep having a problem with. This is ongoing, right? So there has been an increase in chronic illnesses, okay? And chronic infections and illnesses, an increase in that as we have seen a decrease in acute infections and illnesses, right? So what does that say? When you get exposed to something and you so-called get sick, it's really your body getting well, okay? So if someone so-called is sick and they're coughing, they're sneezing, nose is running, and it's like, oh, the person's sick, the body's getting well. Because what that is the body eliminating the toxins, whether it be the foreign substances in your body, whether it be a virus or bacteria, or whether it be some type of heavy metal or irritant in the environment. Like for me, I'm very sensitive to artificial scents, like perfumes and colognes and those Glade plugins and air freshener. I hate that. I hate when I get in an Uber and they have that little tree that you hang on your rear view mirror, that you hang on your mirror, that has a scent. I hate that shit. Like, it really literally makes me sick, okay? And those chemicals are toxic. Like, if I'm going to burn incense or anything like that, I need aromatic scents. I need good quality oils. I need good quality incense, not the chemicals, okay? Like, I can smell the difference between the artificial, and the artificial really, really, really makes me sick. So the thing is that, what's my point with that? Oh, that when I'm exposed to that, sometimes my nose will start running or my eyes. And again, that's my body eliminating the toxins. Because in our immune system, we have two parts of our immune system, okay? We have the first part, which is more primitive, the first immune system that developed, which is our cell-mediated immune system, okay? And then we have the second part, which is our humoral immune system. So with the cell-mediated immune system, you have white blood cells that are rushing to the area to engulf the foreign substance or spray it with nitric oxide to, dissolve the foreign substance, right? And so that's the cell-mediated immune system. And during the activation of that part of your immune system, your body eliminates, okay? So, hold on. So your body eliminates, and that is what runny nose, sneezing, coughing, rashes, your body's getting it out, all right? After that, the second part of the immune system is the humoral immune system, which developed after we developed hollow digestive tracts and were then susceptible to worms and the parasites. The cell-mediated immune system wasn't enough to do that. So then we had the humoral immune system, right, which is where we start creating antibodies and such. So let me look at my notes so I get my points right? Also, another thing, like if somebody gets a splinter, now they get pus, and it's like the pus is the remedy for getting that splinter out. It's not the thing that needs to be healed, okay? It's an elimination process. So it's important to let our bodies go through that, okay? So these are things that train our immune system. But when we vaccinate, the vaccination stopped this training it stops the training, and it causes an unhealthy immune response. And it does so with the addition of toxins, okay? So when they give you a vaccine, you're injected with like fragments sometimes of that virus, right? Or bacteria, whatever. And those antigens that they inject you with are not enough to cause an immune response. So then they have to they add these, I think it's called adjuvants, where it's like they are toxins that they add to the vaccines to make your body create an immune response, right? But again, it bypasses the cell-mediated response. The cell-mediated response of the immune system doesn't happen. This elimination doesn't happen, right? Which that causes problems, okay? So not only does it not train your immune system properly, but it then will cause an unhealthy response, okay? So let me just get my thoughts straight. Okay, so I was going to say my notes. In order for a disease to become chronic, there needs to be an insult, often a toxic exposure, and then a suppression of the body's attempt to detoxify, right? So I was talking about chronic infections and acute, right? So if you are being exposed to some type of toxin and your body's not eliminating, which is what happens in an acute infection when you're sneezing and you're coughing and you have a fever, your body's eliminating. If you stop the body from doing that, okay, the body's no longer then detoxing that out of the system. Now you create chronic health problems, which is what I was talking about. Chronic health problems. People who constantly got problems, constantly got digestive issues, constantly in pain, constantly, you know what I'm saying, gassy or, you know, arthritis, you know, chronic conditions, okay? Okay, so in the immune system, we have two immune systems, which is, you know, like I said, they work together. The cell-mediated immune system, I said this, is characterized by the activity of white blood cells. This was our first immune system to develop. It's more simple and primitive than our other immune system. The humoral immune system is the function of, sorry, hold on a minute. So the function of the cell-mediated immune system is to respond both chemically by sending in white blood cells to the areas of the body that have been invaded by foreign invaders, which I said. The white blood cell may simply engulf and digest injected cells with nitric oxide to kill or dissolve before digesting. Or they may spray the cells with nitric oxide to kill them. The white blood cells then excrete the waste, usually via elimination, through a skin rash or sneezing. It's crucial that the white blood cell reaction involves elimination. I'm sorry, I know I'm just repeating everything I just said because I wrote down my notes to make sure I said everything and I just started talking, so sorry if I'm repetitive. The elimination is what we call getting sick. A person with a dysfunctional cell-mediated immune system will not get sick, but they may die from an overwhelming like chickenpox infection with no sign of infection because their body was unable to mount a defense, okay? So, you know, interfering with the cell-mediated response is what doctors do when they prescribe medications, okay? And this can really mess you up. And this is the reason why giving kids a vaccine and then giving them Tylenol to suppress their fever can kill a kid, and it has, okay? So, the humoral immune system is characterized by antibodies, okay? Antibodies that attach themselves to specific proteins or antigens and or the invader and destroys them or marks them for destruction. So that's the second part of our immune system, the humoral immune system, right? The cell-mediated immune system takes about 7 to 10 days. This is why somebody might have a cold or something. They might be sick for a few days or 7, 10 days most, right? The humoral immune system, to produce the antibodies and all of that, that takes about 6 to 8 weeks, right? But without infected cells, the cell-mediated immune system never gets involved, okay? So when you naturally come in contact with an infectious disease and the cells, you know, go through an infection, then the cell-mediated immune system gets involved. When you do it artificially, it doesn't, right? So, and then it can overstimulate the humoral immune system, which then causes the humoral immune system to overreact to almost everything. And then that can lead to autoimmune diseases, okay? The other thing, too, that's what I go back and say is that if you watch other videos that I've done where I talk about the importance of maintaining your microbiome and what, you know, the good bacteria do in our body, the fact of the matter is all bacteria and viruses have requirements for life, okay? Viruses technically are not living, but bacteria are living, right? But bacteria have specific requirements for life, but the same thing is true with viruses. So our microbiome, and also bacteria, the good bacteria are first line defense against infectious agents, against infectious viruses and bacteria. So this is the reason why building and maintaining our microbiome is of utmost importance. And I talk about this in several of my videos. You know, we have a microbiome on our skin, we have it in our gut, we have it in our mouth, we have it in our vagina. We have bacteria all over everything, but those are the main ones, you know, and it really starts in our gut, okay? But modern pediatrics is, you can say it's an attack on cell-mediated immune response. This book, which I've talked about before, a lot of these notes are coming from this book right here, Vaccines, Autoimmunity, and the Changing Nature of Childhood Illnesses, written by a pediatrician, okay, Thomas Cowan, MD, and the wonderful forward by the wonderful Sally Fallon, her work is amazing. You must follow her work on YouTube, follow her on Instagram, get her books, but this book, very important, right? And so I talked about it in another video too, where I was talking about the chickenpox vaccine, how the decrease in the chickenpox vaccine, the increase in chickenpox vaccines in kids is leading to an increase of herpes zoster in adults, okay? And I talk about that in my other videos. So I'm not going to go all into that again right now because I don't have that much time. I actually have to leave in the next 5 minutes. So I'm trying to make this quick. I just really need to do this video because I've been saying I was going to do it for a while. So when given a vaccine, we are injected with the antigen, which alone produces no appreciable antibody reaction. So they add adjuvants. That's what I said, right? They add the toxins, right? So the adjuvant is it's an irritant that artificially stimulates the immune system. It's a toxin, actually. So if you inject a child with an adjuvant and you suppress their cell-mediated response, no bueno, right? And there are a number of studies that show giving non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, which are NSAIDs, acetaminophen, or aspirin. There are a number of studies that show negative outcomes when giving that to children at the time of vaccines, which doctors and parents do all the time. That increases the chances of negative outcomes. The cell-mediated response is the only way to clear the toxins out of our bodies. So if you are putting toxins into your body, or being exposed to toxins, and you are suppressing your body's ability to eliminate it, you are contributing, for sure, writing yourself a prescription for chronic disease sooner or later in life, okay? And if you keep stimulating the humoral immune system while suppressing the cell-mediated immune system, it leads to autoimmune disease. And I'm going to talk about that in the video that I do tomorrow because I actually have to go. Yes, I am saving this on my IG page, and I'll be reposting it to my YouTube page, The Body Scientist 81. Follow me in both places. So this book, which I talked about before, okay, this is written by 2 German scientists, very extensive backgrounds. I'm not going to read it all again now because I did it in my other video on this, and I'll post that below as well. I highly suggest checking this book out and the other one. Now, I just want to read something real quick about what they say about vaccines in this book, okay? To vaccinate or not to vaccinate, that is the question. The development of vaccines against dreaded diseases such as smallpox, tetanus, and poliomyelitis represented turning points in the history of medicine. Vaccination against a number of further diseases followed, which today belong to the standard repertoire of preventative medicine. Now, the most pressing issue arises whether a global vaccination program is needed to end the coronavirus crisis. This question is so important that a debate urgently needs to be conducted to reach a global consensus on the 3 basic points, okay? Now, I agree with this because what's being pushed in the news is that all scientists agree with Dr. Fauci. A lot of scientists do not agree with Dr. Fauci and are saying something completely different. Okay, and it's out there, and I'm going to post a lot of that below on my YouTube page, because there are a lot of interviews with a lot of doctors and scientists who are saying that the masks, the lockdowns, the numbers, all of it is based, the testing, all of it is based on a lot of junk science and falsehoods to scare the shit out of people. And I'm not saying that people haven't died from it, but most of the people that have died from coronavirus have died in the hospital because of mistreatment in the hospital, because the doctors and nurses didn't know what they were doing, giving people the wrong drugs, putting them on ventilators, which greatly increases your chance of dying. And I'm not going to get completely into that in this video because I'm trying to stick to the vaccine topic, but I highly suggest checking this book out. 2 German scientists, okay, who have very extensive backgrounds in immunology and virology and infectious disease, who wrote this book, okay? So, okay, back to what it says. On 3 basic points. Number 1, when is the development of a vaccine called for? We venture to answer, when an infection regularly leads to severe illness and or serious issues in healthy individuals, as is not the case with SARS-CoV-2. Number 2, when would mass vaccination not be reasonable? We propose that mass vaccination is not reasonable if a large part of the population is already sufficiently protected against life-threatening disease, as is the case for SARS-CoV-2. Number 3, when will vaccination likely be unsuccessful? We predict that vaccinations will fail when a virus coexisting worldwide with man and animals continuously undergoes mutational change, and when individuals become exposed to high doses of virus during spread of the infection. In the author's view, a global vaccination program thus makes no sense. The risks far outweigh any possible benefit right from the start. Experts around the world express their concerns and warn of rushed COVID-19 vaccines without sufficient safety guarantees. Yet, researchers are currently working on more than 150 COVID-19 vaccine candidates, with some already in advanced clinical trials. The aim of most vaccines is to achieve high levels of neutralizing antibodies against the binding spike proteins of the virus and cellular responses. 4 major strategies are being followed, okay? So I know I'm reading you a lot. Now I'm going to read this quickly, okay? Number 1, these are 4 different kinds of vaccines. Number 1, inactivated or attenuated whole virus vaccines. Inactivated vaccines require production of large quantities of the virus, which need to be grown in chicken eggs or in immortalized cell lines. There is always the risk that a virus batch will contain dangerous contaminants and produce severe side effects. Moreover, the possibility exists that vaccination may actually worsen the course of subsequent infection, as has been observed in the past with inactivated measles and respiratory syncytial virus vaccine, okay? Attenuated vaccines contain replicating viruses that have lost their ability to cause disease. The classic example was the oral polio vaccine that was in use for decades before tragic outbreaks of polio occurred in Africa that were found to be caused not by the wild virus, but by the oral vaccine, okay? Number 2, protein vaccines. These will contain the virus spike protein of fragments thereof. Supplementation with immune stimulators, adjuvants that may cause serious side effects is always necessary, okay? Adjuvants, that's what I told you, those toxins that may cause serious side effects, often do, is always necessary, okay? Number 3, you have viral vectors as gene-based vaccines. The principle here is to integrate the relevant coronavirus gene into the gene of a carrier virus that infects our cells. Replication defective vectors are unable to amplify their genome and will deliver just one copy of the vaccine gene into the cell. To bolster effectiveness, attempts have been made to create replication-competent vaccines. This was undertaken with the Ebola vaccine. However, viral multiplication caused severe side effects in at least 20% of the vaccinated, including rash, vasculitis, dermatitis, and arthralgia. I don't even know what that is, okay? Now, number 4, gene-based vaccines, all right? This is what we're dealing with now. In these cases, the viral gene is delivered to the cell either as DNA, inserted into a plasmid, or as mRNA that is directly translated into protein following cell uptake. A great potential danger of DNA-based vaccines is the integration of plasmid DNA into the cell genome, okay? You hear that? A great potential danger of DNA-based vaccines is the integration of plasmid DNA into the cell genome. Insertional mutagenesis occurs rarely, but can become a realistic danger when the number of events is very large, as in mass vaccination of a population. So in case you don't know what insertional mutagenesis is, that is when you have a mutagen, that's something that mutates your genes, okay, and it inserts its own DNA, then that's how it mutates your genes. It mutates your DNA by inserting its DNA into it. That's what insertional mutagenesis is, okay? So it says insertional mutagenesis occurs rarely, but can become a realistic danger when the number of events is very large, as an example of a mass vaccination of a population. If insertion occurs in cells of the reproductive system, the altered genetic information will be transmitted from mother to child. Other dangers of DNA vaccines are production of anti-DNA antibodies and autoimmune reactions. Safety concerns linked to mRNA vaccines include systemic inflammation and potential toxic effects. A further immense danger looms that applies equally to mRNA-based coronavirus vaccines, as sometime during or after production of the viral spike, waste products of the protein must be expected to become exposed on the surface of targeted cells. The majority of healthy individuals have killer lymphocytes that recognize these viral products. It is inevitable that autoimmune attacks will be mounted against the cells. Where, when, and with which effects this might occur is entirely unknown, but the prospects are simply terrifying. No gene-based vaccine has ever received approval for human use, and the present coronavirus vaccines have not undergone preclinical testing as normally required by international regulations. Laws and safety regulations have been bypassed in a manner that would, under normal circumstances, never be possible. So I'm just going to leave that there. This is this book I highly recommend that you take a look at. You can order it on Amazon. Highly recommend you take a look at this book, okay? And the links that I'm going to post below this YouTube video, the interviews and stuff. The other thing I want to say is that even as it comes to childhood vaccinations that are given now, there's never been any research to even confirm that the vaccination schedule that they recommend for babies and children is okay and safe. Never been any research on that. So you have all of these kids, okay? You know, kids now are sicker than kids have ever been. And even with people, no offense, but a lot of people I see whose kids are graduating high school, freshmen in college, they look underdeveloped, okay? A lot of these men, you know, they're like little and skinny and short. Like a lot of people, I live right by, you know, 2 major universities in Chicago. I'm around, you know, universities in New York, like in DC. I feel like college students don't look like what they look like when I was in college. You know, a lot of these younger people are like, you know, not as well developed. They're sickly. When you talk to a lot of teachers, they talk about all the allergies and medications they have to give, and the kids got food allergies, yada, yada. Like, that wasn't such a problem, you know, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years ago, okay? And actually, the stats are currently 1 in 2.5 children has an allergy. 1 in 6 children has a developmental disability. 1 in 9 children has ADHD. 1 in 11 children has asthma. 1 in 13 children have severe food allergies, and 1 in 36 children have autism. And like these numbers weren't like that not too long ago. So I'm just going to end that there, and continue this in future videos. On my Patreon page that I'm working on, I will do videos on how you can really. I have videos on YouTube about strengthening your immune system. I have a couple of them, and I have actually a few. But I'm going to do some more in-depth talking about that on my Patreon page. And some more, get more, deeper into the vaccine discussion. But I do have more stuff coming up, okay? So I'm sorry, I'm just like talking to the camera and trying to make sure I said everything before I get ready to head out. So like I said, if you're on YouTube and you don't follow me on IG, follow me at the_body_scientist. Check out the books that I post and read my posts. If you're on IG and you don't follow me on YouTube, be sure to follow me at thebodyscientist81. Look through the different videos I have. You can learn a lot, okay? If you learned something from this video, please share it. Please like it. And I have more to come, okay? All right, people. Have a great day. Take care of yourselves, all right? Bye.